All right, welcome back. Different kind of YouTube video today. Yeah, I have my Strava pulled up, and essentially, I'm going into a sub 220 marathon attempt this weekend. My current PR is 222 high. I am running at McKirdy Micro TQ Marathon. Uh, I recently had a really bad marathon at Houston. I ran 234, had a really bad back half. Not sure if uh, I was coming off some sickness, so maybe it was that, or maybe it was just one of those unexplainable bad days. So anyway, as we like to do. Oh, and real quick on McCurdy, by the way, weather is looking primo. 30 degrees at the start, which I like a little cold. Probably wear a t-shirt under the singlet, gloves. Should be pretty nice. Low wind, and there's a sub 220 pacer going from start to finish. He's a 210 guy, Canadian 210 guy. So yeah, no excuses to have a bad race at this one. Got to just lock into this guy's stare at his back for a really long time, and hopefully it works out. So anyway, as marathoners, we like to go through some of our best workouts going into a race. I always do this to give myself some confidence going into the race. Tell myself, hey, you are in this shape. Let's look at some of the workouts to remind you, about some of the good days of the build. Obviously, I had a couple tough days in the build too, as everyone does. I think I went to Europe for a little bit, had a really rough long run on that trip, just jet lagged, fatigued from walking around a lot. So disappointing on that one. And then, yeah, I got back from Portugal and just was still dealing with some fatigue after that. So I had like a kind of week window where the training wasn't great. And then also after one of the big long runs we're about to talk about here, I was still dealing with some fatigue from Saturday going into the Wednesday session and had to DNF from the session. And it was a really warm day too, in the 70s and humid. So yeah, by no means was this a perfect marathon block. And I don't want anyone to like take from this that your marathon block needs to go perfectly, because they never do. You're going to have some days that, make you think that you're not quite in shape or you don't have it. And then, next workout, you're going to have a great session and everything's going to be back to normal. So that's just marathon training. So anyway, I want to talk about 5 workouts that are giving me some confidence going into my race. Hopefully, you guys can use these workouts. I'm coached by, or just like kind of see how a sub 220 marathon block was structured. So hopefully that's informational for anyone that's like a running nerd out there interested in this kind of stuff. I was going to go through this myself anyway and kind of give myself some confidence. So thought it'd be a good idea to just share my thought process going through some of these. So I picked 5 workouts that I enjoyed, that I thought went really well during this block. And we'll kind of go through the splits, break them down, why I did them, that kind of stuff. I am coached by Jacob Thompson. He is one of my good friends from high school. He is a 210 marathoner training with Under Armour Dark Sky team in Flagstaff, Arizona. I reached out to him after Houston because I think I just need a little guidance on making the next step. I went from 230 to 222 self-coached, but I think I have a huge gap still to, close between 222 and hopefully OTQing this time around. And, when I was coaching myself, I was doing a lot of stuff I'm comfortable at, that I'm good at. And the reality is my aerobic level is very good. It's very high. I can do high mileage weeks. I can do steady long runs. I can run marathon pace for quite a while, but my 10K half marathon, 5K speed is very poor compared to my marathon pace. So I need to make that better. And sometimes when you're writing your own workouts, because when I write my athletes' workouts that I coach, I have no problem giving them critical velocity, VO2, lactate threshold 2 sessions, right? These harder, sessions under marathon pace. But when I coach myself, sometimes I neglect that, and I kind of noticed that, and I just needed a second opinion on how to move things forward. So enter Jacob, and I think we were successful this block. The shit feels good. Let's dive into some of the workouts you gave me and how they went. So first one I have on screen here, I did this one twice. This is the second time I did it. If you want to go to my Strava, this occurred on Wednesday, March 4th at one of our popular workout locations, which is the Sutherlands neighborhood in Louisville, Kentucky. It is a loop here, so it's about a 1.5 mile loop, very flat, fast. It's low traffic usually during the day. The only time it's kind of busy is when people are going to school and work in the mornings. So anyway, so the session today on Wednesday, March 4th was 1K, 2K, 3K, 2K, 1K. So it's kind of a ladder session. And this was starting out pretty fast at 305 per K pace, slowing down closer to marathon pace for the 3Ks in the middle. So I actually wrote this wrong on here. It's on my Strava. It was 1K, 2K, and then 2 3Ks. So 1K, 2K, 3K, 3K, 2K, 1K. So let's dive into the splits here as we hit the workout. So the first K was in 305, 458 per mile pace. That was a real punch in the face to start the workout, but I remember being pleasantly surprised. And then, of course, my heart rate averaged 177 here. Had a 1 minute rest after that. Absolutely brutal. This is 1525 5K pace to go 1 minute rest and then dive into a 2K in 625, which is 510 per mile pace. Heart rate is now rising, 181 average. One of the hardest reps of the workout right here for sure. I will say, so after this, I had a minute 30. Obviously, you can tell by my pace here that it was a walk rest rather than a jog rest. So I went straight into a couple 3Ks here. And honestly, this is the easiest from the outside looking in. When I saw this workout, I was like, yeah, these are going to be really hard, these 2 3Ks, but they're actually the easiest part of the workout because obviously you're like slowing down to, this is like really around marathon pace for me. Hopefully I'm hoping to run 520 pace in my marathon. So to, have that for about a 10-minute span here. So the first 3K, I did 517 pace, 180 beats per minute heart rate. So heart rate dropped a bit from the last rep, but then I had a 2-minute rest after each of these, which was really helpful. Felt like I really recovered, just totally walked these. Heart rate got down into total recovery mode, 139 beats per minute before I got into the next one. And then the next one, I did the 3K, 518 pace, 1 second difference, perfect. Had another 2-minute rest after that one, like I said. And then we get into the nitty gritty of this workout, I actually ran this a bit faster than the first time I did it. And also this was more comfortable, which was a really good sign that the shape had improved from last workout to this one. 2K at 508 pace here, which was awesome. 183 beats per minute, definitely faster than marathon pace. And then, the last 1K, the instruction is to just go into 305. So 455 per mile pace, 182 beats per minute. I can tell you with certainty, let's double check, but Strava Premium Block, tough. That my heart rate was definitely peaking at the 190s on this last rep. It was very hard, I remember. So this was not an easy workout, but it did give me some confidence about my leg speed, that I was able to hit it. Like really the only rep that was like truly out of my comfort zone was that last 1K. The rest of the workout went pretty smoothly. So I was very pleased with how the session went. I really liked the design of it, where it was kind of a ladder where you start fast, slow down through the middle, and then you get fast towards the end again. It was a great session. Hit the splits perfectly, and just a huge confidence boost. So let's dive into a long run now. I'm going to switch over to the next Strava post here. So this one I titled Focus, and this one was just, let me change the layout here. So this one, it was just a lot of focus. So if you guys follow me on Strava, you might remember this one. This was March 7th, so not too long ago, about 20 days ago. This was the day that everyone else in Louisville was racing the 5K locally here. And obviously I was pretty close to a marathon, didn't want to skip out on a major long run. So today, on March 7th, the assignment was 1 mile warm up, 22 miles at 550 to 6 minute per mile pace, 1 mile cool down. I had my friend Christian come out to bike with me on this one. And yeah, going into this one was the first kind of day that my glute and back were like not feeling great. And I was a bit worried about like how it might go. Fortunately, it loosened up quite a bit. This workout was like really validating that I didn't have a sick or stress fracture, because I was a bit worried about that. But anyway, so we got into the session. I did a 1 mile warm up in 7:36, and then yeah, just dove straight into some faster running. So 5:59, kind of stayed in like the 5:55 to 6 minute range through really 9 miles here, the first 8 miles of the steady. And then as we get into mile 10 overall on the run, I start dropping pace some. And there was no stops on this. So this was just a straight through long, steady effort. I did it in the Sutherlands again. So it was kind of a boring route. I made like a 4 mile loop in there, but I like there's like no uncontrollable variables really in here. There's no stop sign, or there's no street lights. It's low traffic. So that's what I liked. And it was like a loop course, close to where the cars parked too. So I could like have my friend, like he brought me a bottle of water at one point, stuff like that. So, good place to do it. Anyway, so as we get into the back half of this, started rolling some like low 550s, really like the whole back half here, like after mile 13, between 551 and 553 on all of those miles. Then we get to mile 20, 21, start digging under 550 pace. And then I was able to actually close this out pretty well. Mile 21, 545, mile 22, 543, and mile 23, 534. Here is the heart rate data. So let's see what my heart rate was at towards the end of this. So as we get to mile 20 here, heart rate's at 175. And then as we get to the end, heart rate peaked out at 183. So yeah, fairly high heart rate at the end. However, I was rolling a bit towards the end here, and at the end of a longer effort, I'm fine with that. Usually for a marathon, I can race kind of between like 175 and 180 low heart rate. So obviously, like I'm going to be fresh going into the marathon and all of that. So yeah, heart rate overall average for the run 167, which is great. That is a pretty steady heart rate for me. Total run 24 miles at 558 per mile pace. So yeah, really pleased with that session. My glute loosened up throughout the workout. Gave me confidence that I didn't have a stress fracture, because the stress fracture would have totally snapped in that workout. So yeah, that was a really good day. 22 steady at 553 average. Overall, like besides the last few miles, getting a little nitty gritty, really happy with that session. Really smooth sailing. Yeah, just really, really confident, really good confidence booster that the aerobic level is still quite good coming off of Houston Marathon. So anyway, let's dive into the next one here. We're actually going to touch on another long run. And this one was very hard, but it went very well. So let's dive into this long run. Let me change the layout here for you guys. All right. So this one was a little earlier than the last one, February 28th, Seneca Park Classic. This is where we meet for runs on the weekends usually. This is like the Central Park of Louisville, if that is the easier way to describe it. But yeah, so the session today was 2x6 miles at 525 pace. I had just gotten back from Portugal going into this workout, so was really like a few days back from Portugal. So my legs were definitely like starting to get more normal again. My body was starting to feel normal again. I will say, going into this session, I worked out on Thursday, and then this long run was on Saturday. Normally, I like 2 days in between my sessions to get proper recovery in. But in order to have a good midweek workout after getting back from Portugal, we pushed it back a day so I'd have a little more recovery. The Thursday session went very well. It was 12 by K, successful session. But that did mean, because I did that one on Thursday, that going into this one, I was quite tired. So February 28th, workout here, 7 a.m. at Seneca. Obviously, I was a few minutes late, as you can see. So yeah, the workout was 2 by 6 miles. The goal pace was a little slower than marathon pace, 5:25. I did the warm up. I was like, man, maybe I should push this to Sunday. Legs aren't feeling amazing. But then I was like, okay, let's put on the Alpha Flies. Let's see how we feel. So ended up feeling, it was tough, but I got it done. So I didn't feel like amazing, but I got it done. I'm not going to lie. I didn't feel amazing on the session. So yeah, we did, we did 6 miles, about 6.5 miles easy before diving into the work here. And then went straight into the workout. So 5:20. So this is the first set, 2 by 6 miles, 5:20, 5:22, 5:25, 5:23, 5:25, 5:21. Heart rate was definitely in the 180s for most of this, which didn't surprise me. I came into this with some fatigue from the Thursday session. But after I did the first set, there was a lot, like, 2 miles, 3 miles into the first set, there was definitely some like negative self-talk, like, I don't know if I can finish this today. Maybe I should do it tomorrow. But once I got to like mile 3 or 4, I was like, all right, like, at this point we can't cut this and do it tomorrow because we've already like gone hard enough. So we got to commit to today and get this done. So yeah, and that's what we did. So anyway, ended the first rep with a 5:21, and then I knew I had a mile recovery after the first set, so I wanted to take advantage of that, not push it too hard, and like really try to get a good reset in going into the next set. Next set went pretty well. I think I averaged 5:23, around 5:23 on both of these, which was a bit under prescribed pace. So second set, 5:23, 5:26, 5:19. I ran 5:19 because I was annoyed. I thought my watch was saying I was going to hit a 5:25 on mile 2, and it gave me 5:26, which is a second slower than assigned pace. I was annoyed. So then I ran a 5:19 to mitigate that being annoyed feeling. Then I closed out, kept it more in control, 5:22, 5:23, 5:22. You can tell this got pretty hard because my heart rate got up to 186 average on the last mile, maybe a little harder than the session was supposed to be. But that is just what it was. So mission accomplished. This session sticks out to me because I did not have fresh legs, coming off a pretty hard workout on Thursday. So to hit this, on heavy legs was a big confidence boost that on fresh legs on race day, if I can do 12 miles at like close to marathon pace on a day like today, then on marathon race day, I should be able to run 5:20s for quite a while. So yeah, looking back on this one, I take a lot of confidence that on fresh legs, I should be good to go for quite a while on marathon day. Anyway, one more long run, and then we'll do one more midweek workouts for the 5 confidence building runs of the build. Let's dive into this long run here. So you guys have heard me talk about Kenova. This is a classic Kenova long run right here from Coach Jacob. Classic, like Phil Sessman, Emil Karras, they would do a long run like this. Jacob uses some Kenova stuff in his training. So the assignment on this workout was 8x1K on off. So I did a quite long warm up, if I recall. Let's see. Yeah, it was about 7 miles. Let's see here. Let's dive into the laps and confirm that. So yeah, 8.28 miles actually. So yeah, did about an hour of easy running at 7:43 pace, 134 beats per minute. It was really cold this morning. We did this at Shelby campus. If you see the map, a little different than where my other workouts have been because we had gotten some snow in Louisville. This was in, let's see what the date was for this workout. Yeah, February 7th. So we actually had a pretty bad winter. And so this area, it's called the University of Louisville Shelby campus. It's a satellite campus of the University of Louisville. It's a pretty flat area, and for whatever reason, they clean the roads so good at this location. So this is a popular spot to meet at when there's winter weather. So anyway, workout was about an hour easy, and then we went into 8x1K on off. If I remember the percentages correctly, and this is classic Kenova in the sense that he gives over under marathon pace workouts where you're alternating a bit over marathon pace and then going a bit under. So in this workout, I believe the percentages were the ons, or the faster part, were 105% of marathon pace, which is around 311 to 315 per K. And then the offs, or the the over marathon pace portion, was supposed to be 345 to 350 per kilometer pace. So around 6 minute pace, and that was around 90% of marathon pace, if I believe. I remember what Jacob wrote down. So 90% of marathon pace for the slower section, 105% a little faster for the ons. Let's see how I did. This workout went well. If I recall, there was actually a fox running around the street where we were. We were worried it was a rabid fox. So I do remember that from this session. Anyway, started with a 314K, 512 per mile pace. Again, goal marathon pace is 520. So we were, a smidge under goal marathon pace here. One with a 345K for the rest, 312, a little faster, 346, 312, 347. So really like consistently holding 312, like really 311 to 313 through all of these. So ended up being a pretty quick 10 miles. Yeah, it looks like every split was between 311 and 314 here. So average on pace was 507 to 512 for 8Ks, which is 5 miles. And then the 5 miles of off running were right around 6 flat to 605 pace. So yeah, overall, really solid effort on this session. I remember seeing it, and here's kind of how those miles shook out, like 530s, 540s for the overall mile splits there for about 10 miles. So I remember when I looked at this session, I knew it was going to be pretty hard. Definitely surprised myself with how good some of the ons felt. But then also, when you do a session like this, slowing down from like 5:10 to even 6 minute pace, the 6 minute pace actually feels quite good. So this was actually like a lot more comfortable than I thought it was going to be. So I was really happy with how this went. Nailed paces on the workout. Let's see what the heart rate was looking like on this session here. I think I do have access. Yeah, here we go. The heart rate information right here. So yeah, as we get later into the workout, 184 beats per minute, 185 on the second last one, 185. So maxed out at 185. My max heart rate is around 200, I would say. So yeah, this is about right for sub marathon pace. Again, I can run a marathon really anywhere between 175 and like low 180s in terms of heart rate. So that's about right for being sub marathon pace. This is closer to half marathon pace, honestly, when I'm running 5.0s like this. One thing that is good about this session is how well I was recovering from the floats, because I was still running fast, right? 6 minute pace, 605 pace on the floats, but my heart rate was getting down back into the 150s on those, which is like a truly like steady pace. So good to see even like later in the session that my heart rate was getting lower before like diving back in, and obviously it shot right back up. But yeah, good to see some like lower heart rate during the recovery sections of the workout. So yeah, that was a really good confidence booster kind of earlier in the build in February. Good to see, like, obviously it's been quite a while since February 7th, done a lot of good workouts since this one. So good to like know that earlier in the build, this is the kind of shape I was in. And like, hopefully now I'm in, much better shape than this session. So yeah, really good to see that one and remember that workout. Last one, this was a midweek one. Again, earlier in the build, February 4th, really the first like truly hard workout that we did midweek. This was like one of it's February 4th and Houston was in, I think Houston was in January, right? So this is one of the first like pretty hard workouts I did with Jacob midweek, 14 miles total. And yeah, so broken up, it's 4 sets of 4x800, but if you really want to say it right, it's 16x800. So it's 8 miles of 800s. Big, like that's a big session. So and they're not slow 800s. They're not marathon pace. They were pretty fast. They were around half marathon to 10K kind of pace. So yeah, the objective on these was 232 to 234 pace. I think. Well, no, I think it was actually 236 down to 232 was assigned. Um, the way it was split up was, which like when I first saw it, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Once again, 50 seconds in between intervals, and then 3 minutes easy jog between sets. So between each interval, I only had 50 seconds of walking around to recover before I had to get back into it. But the 3 minute jog between sets was really nice. So I did find that mentally, like just breaking it into each set and just like worrying about finish the set instead of worrying about the next set was very beneficial, because I found that each four went by quite fast, and like mentally, like 4 800s goes by pretty fast. So as long as I just like focused on the set I was in instead of worrying about the next set, this actually wasn't that bad of a workout. Let's dive into the splits here. So on the first, let's see if Strava wants to load. Here we go. Yeah, and I plugged this one into my watch. So it started at, I plugged in the 800 meters. So yeah, first set, 234, 235 on all of them, 50-second rest. Heart rate stayed like pretty controlled. I averaged in the 160s on all of the reps. Obviously, I peaked out at higher than that on all of these reps, but I was still like recovering well. Even with the 50 seconds rest, my heart rate was coming down enough to average just 160s on the ons. 3 minutes jog there. And then second set, we did 233 to 234 on all of those. Heart rate is now in the 180s, high 170s. So clearly getting a bit tougher. I remember the first set felt quite easy. Second set got a little harder. And then after that, I knew it was going to be a pretty tough session on the back half here. So let's see where the second or where the third set is here. Third set, man, totally lost it. Okay, 234. Here's set one, 3 minute rest. There's set two. I don't know where the 3 minute rest went, but oh, here it is right here. Okay. Third set, 233, 231, 235, 233. 231 in there was ambitious for sure. Heart rate was pretty good on this, 175. Yeah, averaged under 180 for that set, which is surprising. But so once I got through 12 of these, I knew I could finish. Once I got through the 12th one, I was like, okay, yeah, this is hard, but I know I can finish. So that was good, because I wasn't really worried about like accomplishing the workout at this point. I knew by how I was feeling towards the end of this that it would be fine. So anyway, did the last jog rest. Last set was really good. I remember like being really stoked after this workout, because I didn't expect it to feel like it did. Obviously, it was hard, but I didn't think I would nail paces and even go a little under paces on some of these. Last set was straight 232s, 506 per mile pace. Heart rate stayed pretty similar to the prior set of intervals. So, yeah, that was like really the first hard session I did after Houston. And I think I was really surprised. Like, I thought I'd maybe lost some shape after Houston. I didn't really take much time off, like a few days. Then did some easy running for a bit and took a few weeks to get back up to 100 miles a week. This week was, I think, my first or second week back around 100. We kept the overall volume of this build a lot lower than Houston. Houston, I was doing 130 to 140 regularly. This McKirdy build, I was more in 100 to 115, focusing more on intensity instead of overall volume. So keeping my legs, while still maintaining decent volume, keeping my legs a little fresher going into the workouts. So because obviously we wanted to have good legs for the intensity. So yeah, really happy with this workout. Ran between 231 and 235 on all of them. Mission accomplished. Really surprised myself. So yeah, those are like kind of 5 of the key workouts I did going into this race that are giving me confidence to hopefully break 220 on Sunday. Hope you guys, all you running nerds out there, enjoyed the breakdown of this. Give me a follow on Strava if you don't yet. But yeah, we'll see how it goes Sunday. I think the fitness is there, the weather is there, the pacer is there, the bottles, the fueling, all of that's looking pretty good. So not sick, didn't get sick before this race. So Yeah, I think things are lining up. I just need to make sure. My only like concern is my glute and low back have been a little iffy, so I'm just hoping the race day adrenaline, that's pretty common. Like something will pop up late in the marathon build for everyone, and you just gotta trust that little race day adrenaline, and maybe some KT tape will get the job done on race day. So, anyway, thanks for watching this one. Little different YouTube video, but I was like, I'm gonna go through this training anyways. Might as well share it with people that might be interested on kind of what training looked like to train for a sub 220 marathon this block. So hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll see you on the other side of the 220 attempt. We'll see how it goes. But thanks for supporting, guys. And see you on the McKirdy 220, hopefully sub 220 race video.